As I approached this corner, I glanced up and caught this big object in this area.
What he saw was a UFO at about the spot where the helicopter is located. The object was 150 feet in diameter, 20 feet high, silver gray in color. It hovered over Pecha silently.
And I saw these objects hanging down like cable-like fixtures hanging down below it. And as I watched it, these tentacle-like things went up, and these lights came out of this saucer-like thing, and these big lights came on, which was a shaft of lights, 2 of them.
Pecha ran back into his home, where he and his wife watched the UFO fly away. Panicked, frightened, they took their children to the home of a friend, Gayle Arant, who also saw the object.
I couldn't believe what I was seeing. It was just.
But you had no question that you saw it?
No, no question whatsoever. It was there. I saw it. It doesn't matter to me if anyone believes me or not. I know what I saw, and Bill too. I mean, it was frightful.
Whatever Bill Pecha and several other Colusa residents insist they saw last October remains unidentified and unexplained.
Hello.
Good evening, or good morning, I should say.
Yeah, I'm very sorry to have him to bother you.
No problem at all. We'd like to hear about what you saw.
Well, I never used to believe in it, but I do now. Around 1 o'clock, the power went off. And I have power running from my shop to my house, and I figured maybe it blew a fuse in there. I've been watching television. And I went outside, very dark, with no lights anywhere, and had this funny feeling like static electricity around me or something. I don't know. I couldn't figure out what was wrong. I looked up behind the barn, which is right behind my house, and this giant object like an upside-down cup was just there, hovering, not making a sound, but weird-looking lights. And I ran back in the house to get my wife, and it was already about like 5 or 10 miles away. And it was coming back this time with 3 giant beams on the ground, lighting up the whole surface of the ground.
Uh-huh.
And my neighbor has a crop dusting outfit behind my field, and it lit their house up, and it was shining these weird lights out, like spotlights. They wasn't going out too far, but they were far apart, and it would come right for the house again, so I grabbed my kids out of bed, and we ran to the car and got in a pickup. And the damn thing followed us until we got to the cemetery, and then I had to hit my brake lights, because I was driving no lights, to get over the hump. And when I did that, it took off like a flash off to the right and went off towards the Sacramento area. And there was more than one, but I didn't have a chance to look at the other. This one's too damn close, you know.
Yes.
But it was hanging over the barn, and it had this funny electricity stuff bothering you. I mean, it's like you get a tingle, you know.
You could feel that in your body then?
All the way through.
Okay.
And I'm still shaking.
Uh-huh. Okay, now going back to when you first saw this, how close to the ground was it?
He was about 50 feet and counting the barn. He was right above the barn.
And how far away from you would you say?
Well, I would say within 100 feet from my house to the barn.
100 feet, okay. And it was shaped like an upside-down cup?
Right.
Is that all you could see? Now, could you see?
I couldn't see above it because at that point, it was too many weird-looking lights drawing your attention. I just couldn't take time to look the whole thing. It just scared me, you know.
Uh-huh.
But I did look at it for a good 2 minutes. I mean, I stood there, I was froze. And it doesn't make a sound.
Okay, could you see a surface?
Yes, when it took off, it looks like an upside-down, well, I hate to say this, but you know the movie they have on TV called The Invaders?
Yes.
Okay, it looks identical to that.
Okay, were there any openings?
I can't see. There's too much bright light.
Too much light, too much outside glow.
Light.
Okay, right, okay.
An neon color.
Right. Now, did this light up the ground under it?
But it didn't light the ground up on the barn until it took off over there, and it stopped, and it had 3 lights. It lit up the ground under it in a huge, big circle.
Now, were these shafts of light that came down from
beams
from the bottom of the object?
Well, this center one was a huge light that went straight down.
Uh-huh.
And then it had one out in front that went down on the ground, and then it had one on left and right of it that showed on there were power poles with the power poles on the 2047, and it looked like it was shining lights right on those electrical transformers.
Right on the transformers.
And the lights was already out, already all over the whole valley, but it came, when I called the wife to the window, it was coming right at us again. And it had these bright, giant lights, but this time it only had one light. But it was a beam, a huge, big beam, I'd say a couple, 300 feet in diameter on the ground, coming right at us. And I panicked and grabbed the kids, and we took off with no lights.
Okay, but did you have any trouble with the car or anything while you were driving?
No, I just fired it up, and it's a Chevrolet, you know, it takes a little bit, and I put it in reverse and backed out, and naturally the backup lights come on, and that scared me because I figured it's going to see us, you know.
Uh-huh.
And it came right over Bailey's trees, which is the next door neighbor to us, and they were eucalyptus pretty tall. And it just seems to know how to act to manipulate it, you know, on the ground maneuver. And it doesn't make a sound. That's what's weird.
And this followed you into town?
It followed me right along the side of us, within about 100 yards from us, and I was made to turn on the main road and hit it towards town as fast as I could with no light. It was right there, and I was getting pretty panicked, and my wife was too. But when I hit the railroad track, there was quite a little hump over it, and I put the brakes, and the brake lights came on bright red, and I figured, oh, Christ, he's really going to find us now, you know.
Uh-huh.
And it took off behind us on the right of us, and took off towards the Sacramento area. And it just went all that way so fast, you can't believe it.
Did it change in appearance at all when it took off at high rate of speed?
It can make any turns it wants.
I mean, did the glow around it increase?
It turns soft blue. I mean, kind of a purplish blue.
When it took off?
When it takes off, yeah.
Okay. Now, during this whole experience, at no time you saw any kind of a surface, right?
Just an outline of a shadow, you know.
Oh, okay.
Like I say, I seen a good look of it there at the barn.
Right.
But the underneath's got some weird-looking things on it. That's what startled me. You know?
Did it have any colored lights on it?
Yes. It's kind of a frosty light. You know, it's not they're just like a neon light.
Right.
And there's a series of little teeny things that go through the light, like little neon tubes.
Did any member of your family have this feeling also?
No, I woke him out of sound sleep.
Okay, then the only time you had this tingling sensation would be outside. Okay.
But it looked like to me it was drawing electricity out of the power poles or something, because it had these beams on these transformers.
Okay, now were these just high voltage lines, or were they the large transmission lines?
Well, see, we have irrigation pumps on the canal.
Oh, yes.
And they're quite, I don't know how many voltage, but they're quite a bit. And they're big, huge transformers, so I don't know if it was just looking at them or if it's drawing energy from them, but it looked like to me it was drawing something from them.
Uh-huh, okay. Now, how big was this object? Is there any estimates?
No, beg your pardon?
How large was the object?
I don't want to, I hate to guess.
Could you compare it with...
I would say it was as big as around as my whole barn. And the barn is pretty old, but it covered the whole top of it.
Uh-huh.
And the barn is probably like 75 by maybe 50, and it goes up pretty tall.
Okay. Do you have any livestock on the farm?
No, I just got two animals, a cat and a dog. It's in the shop.
Okay. Can we have your name, sir?
Yes, sir. Mr. Bill Pecha. P-E-C-H-A. It's actually Billy Benson, but I don't like Billy, so I can say Bill.
And your wife saw this?
My wife seen it right out the window.
And what was your wife's first name?
Linda Pecha.
And your children saw it?
My children sees the light, but they were scared and asleep.
Okay.
We woke them out of it.
All right. Did the police department get any additional reports on that?
Yes. I called my neighbors because I was very worried about them when I got to town because it had this huge light over their house. And they own the airport. And I called her and she said that they were asleep. They didn't hear anything or nothing. I told her it didn't make a sound. And I didn't want to tell her that I was waking her up, scaring her. And she said she kind of believes in it too, but she would keep an eye out.
Okay. How long did the power outage last?
Well, I'd say within about, well, I can't tell you everything going on. I didn't want to stay in the dark because I didn't want to be seen.
Uh-huh.
I think about maybe 15 minutes or 20 minutes.
And this covered the whole county?
Yes, it did. Everything was black around here. I didn't know until he told me that the whole county was knocked down.
You said that there was more than one object.
Yes, there were three. I'm pretty sure there were three, because there was the other two things going away as it coming towards us. And that's when I figured, holy hell's going to break loose. I didn't, I just was worried sick after it was there once that it's going to come back and get it.
Okay, now the other two, were they similar to the one by the barn?
See, they just had lights.
I see.
They looked like two small ones.
Okay, what color were the lights on those?
They were they're a neon light.
Same.
Only they didn't have anything under them I couldn't see. They looked like smaller ones.
I see, okay.
But they went away fast.
Uh-huh.
But they don't make no noise. I can't see why a machine that big can't at least make something.
Now this was handled by the Colusa Police Department?
I called the Sheriff's Department because I couldn't stand it any longer. I had to know somebody else seen it.
Uh-huh.
And they said they had one other call or a couple, I don't remember. But the police department came here and I told them what I saw. And they're the ones that called you.
This is the police or the sheriff?
This is the police here in town.
Okay, fine.
Call the Sheriff's Department. I guess they sent you guys here. Oh, they dispatched out to the police here.
Okay.
Not a fib, sir.
Well,
I really believe it now. I used to think a little bit, they had me wondered. That's all it ever went to. But I believe it.
Okay, other than this tingling sensation now, did you have any other physical or strange mental feelings while all this was going on?
Well, I don't really know. I couldn't get in the house. I was all frustrated. I hit the walls going down because we had no lights in there. I couldn't, and I've always walked through that hall before without running into everything. But I guess I was scared too. But it's like electricity. I mean, it's like your hair's you take some kind of a dicon or coats, you wear, and you get this static electricity when you pull it off.
Right.
That's the way your hair stands up.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Static to it or something.